Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, can I get you to direct your attention to the stage? We are about to begin. We have with us a very special guest. It's a rare opportunity, actually. I will begin by telling you an anecdote. When Henry Kissinger was appointed Secretary of State, the first press conference, people asked him, it's very confusing now. Are we supposed to call you Mr. Kissinger or Dr. Kissinger or Secretary Kissinger? And he looked at the press reporter who asked this and said, Your Excellency will be just fine. Now here we have an actual excellency. This is a man who is legendary for many reasons. I would put it this way, when you think of Qatar today, you think of the richest country in the world, you think of a country with enormous resources, you think of a country that is trying to punch above its weight, to host the World Cup, to be engaged in the most advanced technologies and enterprises in the world. That Qatar was created by Hamad bin Jاسم, our guest. He was Prime Minister. He was the first Prime Minister, really, of modern Qatar, and has created the country that people now look up to. And so I want to first thank you. This is a rare opportunity and a rare occasion. He does not do many interviews. He has done a couple on my show, but that has been my great honor and pleasure. But thank you for coming. So let me ask you first, since we are talking about happiness and contentment, when you began to take your duties as Prime Minister, it was a very complicated situation. There had just been a change of government, let's say, a change of the head of state in Qatar. It was still regarded as a backward country. What did you focus on? How did you think about the way you were going to raise the quality of life in Qatar?
Thank you very much, Farid, and thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I have to say our vision was not only me. I can say there is a team of people working, and also the leadership, either the Emir of Qatar at that time, the father of the previous Emir, or me, or the other teams. We came with a vision for Qatar. And the vision was, okay, our country at that time have a lot of debt, and the oil revenue is going down because we are not an oil country. And at that time, the oil, we produce around 300 to 350,000 barrels a day, and that's it. So we need to develop first our main source, the gas field. And the challenges there is a lot of challenges. First of all, financing, and let the people that this field could be secured, and the production could be secured, and the delivery could be secured, and that need a convincing partner with us. We succeed with Japan, but our vision was not only that. We need to move Qatar from place to other place. And to do that, you need a few things to do. First of all, you need the confidence of the people of Qatar. And the people of Qatar at that time have the confidence in His Highness the Emir and his team, which I was the Prime Minister. And to move from that point to a point of vision, there was a lot of challenges. First of all, just the war finished between Iraq and their neighbor. We always have a hot and cold season with the Iranian as our neighbor. And at that time, the challenges around us, a lot of challenges, political challenges and economical challenges. And the oil price dropped suddenly to $7 per barrel. So the hope of doing something was not an easy. So the vision is we need to divide our task force. there is no one-man show, actually. There was specialized people. So we said, okay, let us develop or divide the economic development from the political situation, because political situation could take all your time and your efforts just to stabilize the region and the country, which we are part of that region. So we succeed to divide our force to let people concentrate in education, people focus in healthcare, people focus in our energy sector and gas and oil, and how we can develop the petrochemicals and all other downstreams wealth or community. And to do that, it was not easy with the intention in the region and with less confidence in the region, how these young people, which they come, because, our region at that time, not used for young people to run country. If you are part of the government at that time, you should be around 60 plus. And we was at that time 30, maximum 30, 35 years old, the team. So it was young team like here, which I am surprised of this young, ambitious team, from the president to the prime minister to the foreign minister to all those I met. So it was difficult, but it took courage and time to reach our goal. And I think we deliver not all what we promised, but most of what we promised.
And then you get to a point where you start out, as you described, in hard times. And then, because of the investments in natural gas, Qatar's fortunes really take a move up. And then you have a situation where you have lots of money. Does money buy happiness? Were you able to then, did the job become much easier at that point? Or is it also, does it require discipline and thoughtfulness to know what to spend the money on?
It's easy to give advice when you have money, and easy to give examples. But I want to go a little bit back before we reach that. First of all, we originally, Qatar is a poor country. After the Pearl Error and after the Japanese, when they discovered the new pearl, culture pearl, the country was really poor. And after that, when the oil being discovered, the country started to be rich. And at that time, you need many things to stabilize the situation. You need education, you need healthcare, you need to feed the people the right. So it was different kind of needs from now. And the people was happy to have that. If you come to this stage with a rich country, is the people happy? The people happy and not happy. And I am always, as you know, very frank. People need rule of law now. People need to feel safe now in their country. People need fairness because people is not looking now for money. The money is there. The job is there. We have no jobless people, but all of them working? No, but they have salaries, which is good and bad. So I think happiness is to be satisfied that your country, your leadership is trying to let rule of law. And when I mean rule of law, if you come from America, you'll say, what you are talking about? Yes, we have a rule of law, or from Europe. But in the Middle East, when I say rule of law, it's another word. And we are trying in Qatar, we tried, and His Highness, the new Emir, he continued to try to let a rule of law there and to try to fight the corruption. And this will make the society more happy that their wealth is being taken care of. It's been already invested in the right tools, either inside or outside. So happiness is different word from a country to country, from a region to region. Happiness, if you go to Finland, which is #1 in happiness, people would like to see their family is smiling, would like to see their family, how they are going to their schools, their children. If you talk happiness in some Middle Eastern country, people need to be safe. Nobody take them to jail for saying some word. So we need to be careful what sort of happiness and where. But I have to say with confidence about my country that we did not reach the happiness, international standard happiness, let us say, but we are in the way and we are doing, we are faster than the other in the region in this aspects.
I was in Qatar about a year ago and I had the privilege of spending some time with the Emir. And he said something to me that I thought was very interesting. We were talking, of course, about the current crisis with Saudi Arabia essentially having placed an embargo on Qatar and trying to press it more and more. And he said, you know, there has been a benefit from it, which is we have had this money, but people have often wondered, do Qataris think of themselves as a country, as a nation? And facing all this external pressure has made people in Qatar come together. So do you think that that is a kind of an important piece of what is happening in Qatar? You are forging a closer national identity.
No doubt about that. When I see Qatar 3 years back and now, it's different Qatar and different Qataris. They are thinking more how to be independent. They are thinking more how to be creative. They are thinking more that, okay, we've been embargoed by our brothers, and for that reason we should be united inside Qatar as a Qatari, and to try to see where is the weakness point to try to correct it. And I think the government and the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Tamim did it in a soft and nice way. They did not raise the voice more than what they should, but also they was working silently to provide the people with their needs, but to tell them, look, there is opportunities that you can take care of this, not us as a government or rely on any other neighboring country. I think there is a big success in that. And if I give you a few examples, for example, most of our food products was imported from the two countries which they did the embargo. Right now, 70% of that capacity being produced in Qatar, and 30% bring from all over the world. Cheaper, better quality, more variety for the people, and that show when the nation come together and they have their integrity, they can deliver a lot of things. Yes, we have the money, but also we have the God, and we have the will how to use this money for not our integrity only, but for our children to learn that they have to take care about their life.
All right, now you know, because you've been so closely involved and such a key player in the Middle East, I have to ask you a few questions about what is going on there now. There seems to be this rivalry between Saudi Arabia and Iran that is consuming the whole region, that is turning the principal dimension of the Middle East now has gone from being the Palestinian issue or those kinds of issues to Shia versus Sunni. Is this going to end, or how is it going to end? What is going to happen?
First of all, we have to retreat a little bit and see whose will have benefit from this conflict between us and Iran. And also, let us say, do we agree with the Iranian policy 100%? No. Even we are in Qatar now with a normal relation with Iran, and because it's the only our window to the world, sea and air, we go through Iran, which we appreciate that. But Iran will stay our neighbor forever. And we have to have a political dialogue, economical dialogue, to live together with no interference from the Iranian. I think this is the right moment at the moment, with all the pressure against Iran, that we can have productive dialogue, a reasonable dialogue, to reach kind of conclusion to dismantle this tension in the region. This tension is because of many issues. Is it because of Saudi Arabia with Iran only? Or is it because of the Israeli and the Iranian? Is it because of what happened in Syria, what happened in Iraq, what happened in Yemen? It's a combination of all of that together which make this tension. But our problem, if we go back when Obama was doing the deal with the Iranian, which I'm not against that deal, I'm with that deal, but he did not consult the region. We hear about the deal like all the others hear about the deal. And I am afraid now also we will not be consulted when we hear that United States with Iran reach a solution. And then what we will do in the region? We will say, this is a good solution, we support that solution. Exactly like what we say when the first solution with Obama done and the nuclear, all of us support that option. And now, some of our countries, strangely, they say we don't like that deal. So why you didn't say it that time? Okay, I know because you want to take the opportunity, the dispute between United States and Iran. But that dispute, the day when the Iranian with the American sort that issue, you will support the New Deal. And that will put us nowhere with the Iranian to have a normal negotiation between neighbors. And I mean, we should have a negotiation. We should tell them what is our worries from them. Yes, we have differences in many policies, but Iran will stay our neighbor, and we have to have a relation with the Iranian, normal relation. They have to know our red line. We have to know their red lines. We cannot say the Gulf is us, or they cannot say that the Gulf is there. The Gulf is shared between us and them. And it's exactly like when I don't want to interfere to the Ukrainian-Russian problem, but it's exactly the same. Ukraine and Russia will be neighbor forever. Yes, you have support from the European and the American, but in the end, the Ukrainian have to find their way to find a solution with the Russian to solve this peacefully and through political dialogue. And this is what the president today indicated in a way, which that's the only way how to solve the problem.
You know Iran well. The American strategy seems to be put more pressure on them and they will crack. Do you think that the Iranians are suffering so much that they will concede?
You know, I will say what I think. I don't think the Iranian will, they are suffering a lot financially. But the Iranian, as long as this pressure there, they will be together. And don't forget, Iran is neighbor, I don't know, for 9 or 11 countries. Big countries. Big trade can be done. So you cannot today seal Iran. You might seal the oil from the sea, but you cannot seal it from all their neighbors. You cannot seal the trade through their all neighbors. So is it going to work in the long term? It will make the wind deeper, in my opinion, between the Iranian and the American if the Iranians suffer more. I think a dialogue is important to end this. I don't think, you know, when China things start more than 1 year, the trade between China and United States, everybody thought the deal is very close. I think when they have G20 in Argentina, everybody say days. After that, every time they say next month, this meeting will be done in Beijing, this meeting will be done. But I was thinking deeply that China, if I know them little bit, they will not do this under pressure and under threat. China, they will do it in their own time and agenda, and they will choose the right time to make also the other party feel that, okay, if this has been done once with China, cannot be done second. The Iranian, they have patience. They negotiated the nuclear deal from Clinton time almost, and they signed the deal late, during Obama term, 6 months before Obama left office. So the Iranian will have this patience. The structure in Iran is a strong structure when you pressure it more. The pressure could be democratic and could be different structure if you leave the pressure from the Iranian more. It's as any other nation, when there is a threat from outside, even if their leadership is doing mistakes, they will come together. So I cannot see that Iran, under this pressure, will give up as people thought. But it could be through dialogue, yes.
I think you make a very important point in negotiations, particularly in foreign policy, which is that the other side has to always also be able to say that it won. You cannot have a win-lose, because every country, every leader has to go back to his people and say, I got something, right? And you cannot have a negotiation where one side says, I got everything, and the other side says, yes, I got nothing.
I agree with you, and I will tell you one thing. I know the Chinese, and I dealt with them many years, and I dealt with the Iranian as their neighbor many years when I was in my responsibilities. I don't think it's easy to reach a deal like this, and you need to be patient, and you don't need to challenge them through a public kind of because. And what they have something strange. They will say, okay, how long the President of the United States still he have for 2 terms? 5 years. We wait 5 years. Wait for the next president. The Chinese can do that and can wait. This is what I think. They will not give a deal under pressure or threat. And the Iranian, they can wait for the next presidency. I don't mean 2020, I mean maybe 2024.
Fascinating, fascinating. Our time is up, but I want to do something unusual now, which is to ask the next panel, which is David Rubenstein and Robert Smith, to come up and to have the three of you talk about Ukraine for a moment, your impressions of the new president, what you mentioned the youth of the cabinet. I just wanted to get us to talk about this a little bit more. We have the chairs now, and so we have two of the world's great investors, David Rubenstein and Bob Smith. I think if we add the investments that His Excellency has made, we have three of the world's great investors. And I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars of capital, but a lot. And so let me ask you, Your Excellency, to start off by just expanding on what was your impression. You've met many world leaders. What did you think of Zelensky and his team?
First, I will give my mic later to David. If I give him, it's a business, so you have to take care of the mic. Well, I was today, this is my first time to be in Ukraine. I saw other presidents visit us in Qatar when I was in office. And this is the first time I have to say that I have a positive impact. Also, I have the privilege to meet the president today and to meet the prime minister today. And I remember when we was in their age, in the office, and I could see they are ambitious. They want to move their country from place to place very quickly. And the most important things, they know that they need a rule of law, and they need also to fight the corruption. And that's something this country needs a lot, because you need to have a confidence. And the confidence, the investors, if they want to have a confidence, they need a rule of law. And I have to say I am optimistic, and I will, in my capacity, I will try to come again and to see what we can do in terms of business, because I could see that the climate, there is good start for this administration, and we will be happy to support kind of people like this.
David, Carlyle invests all over the world. What was your impression? You've met leaders from all over the world.
Well, I would say it's somewhat refreshing. In my country now, the President of the United States is 73. The leading candidates to be Democratic nomination are 78, 76, and 70 years old. And I'm 70 years old. So when you see a president who's 41 years old, you say, wow, this person's got a lot of leeway ahead of him and a lot of time to do something. So I was very impressed with the president's commitment to make some changes. And clearly, the theory of emerging markets is that they have higher growth rates, younger populations, younger leaders, and they're maybe in many ways more dynamic. There's not an easy way to invest for foreigners in this country relative to some other countries. There's no doubt that it's easier to invest in the United States than it is in Ukraine. But I do think that as the new administration gets its program in place, particularly the land reform and the land sales, you will see foreign capital coming in for the first time in a long time. I do think if the situation with Russia could be resolved in eastern Ukraine, that would make it much easier, but that will take some time for sure to get done. But for the time being, I think the President and the Prime Minister are quite dynamic, quite young, and I wish we had some young, dynamic leaders in my own country. Not that we don't have great leaders, but they're a little bit older, so I'm very impressed with what I saw today.
Bob Smith, let me ask you your impressions.
Thank you, Fareed. We as a firm invest in software, and by its very nature, it is a younger person's game. You know, the experience that I had today with the president was quite refreshing insofar as it really echoes a number of the themes that I've been having conversations with many of the business leaders like Victor Pinchuk and others about how do you invest in what is actually the greatest resource of Ukraine, which is actually its people. And how do you build an infrastructure to train people and develop them in a way that they can actually contribute to this next generation of the economic cycle, which is the digitization of the global economy. And the dynamic that we're talking about is how do we take, call it 5 cities, 8 cities, 10 cities here, and build the right sort of technical infrastructure to develop the people here so that they will want to stay here and develop products and solutions. Again, these are technological products and solutions, not only for their own country, but to export them. The challenge we have in our business globally is that there's a war on talent. And the way to win that war is to actually make investments in the people and the infrastructure to attract businesses who are willing to develop their people to drive their economies forward. So I'm quite optimistic. I'm excited about what our future is as a company and as a firm here in the Ukraine. I have 10,000 plus employees just in the Europe and European area that I need to go to 20,000. And I've actually tasked my team to now build centers of excellence in different European cities in order to do that. And these are not just primary cities, but secondary and tertiary cities. And so we're building the infrastructure. We have no choice. In order for us to sustain our growth, that's what we have to do. So we are looking for partners, and this seems to be a good place where we can find the right sort of leadership who has a mindset to understand the technology, software development, and most importantly, the development of their people in that regard is what's going to be central to their success. It does require a rule of law. It does require confidence in the leaders of the country so that we can sustain the type of business investment that makes sense for our investors. So quite optimistic, excited, and actually we're going to get started on this tomorrow. David has some more to say.
Can we get one more mic, by the way, just so we can make this easy?
Whenever you're looking at an emerging market, you have two views. One, is this a place where the rule of law exists, where you have hard workers, where you can make an investment and likely get a good return on your investment? When you find that kind of country, you're not sure what to do. Should you tell everybody, come invest here, or should you just say, I don't want to tell anybody because I want to get there and do it myself? So I'm of two minds. I don't want everybody to know around the world that they should invest in Ukraine, because if everybody comes here, prices will get higher. So I think I'd rather invest before I tell everybody to invest here, and then when everybody else comes, I will already own something that increases in value. That's the best way to make money in emerging market investments.
I thought that was called talking up your stock and was illegal in the United States, David, but I will leave it to you. Your Excellency, may I thank you? Do you have any last words you want to say before you join Victor?
Thank you very much for you and for Mr. Victor to invite us for this wonderful place. And we wish that when we come another time to see really what we hear is being implemented and it's been done. And for me, I'm positive from what I see today in the future of this country. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.